Here we're looking at RubyCrisp. RubyCrisp was a 2019 release from the University of Georgia. It's a self-fertile muscadine that was released for home garden and pick your own sales. As you might expect from its name, RubyCrisp is differentiated from a lot of other muscadines by having a bright red color when it's beginning ripe, and then as it further ripens, it turns into more of a purplish color. So here you're seeing berries that are fully ripe. You can see they got a fairly red color, dark red color. If you leave them hang on the vine a while, they'll darken to more of a purple color, looking more like a standard black. But generally, if you're picking them as soon as they're ripe, they're going to be a nice dark red color. And if you look at them and compare them to something like a Supreme, you can see the Supreme on the top there has the dark color, more black, whereas a RubyCrisp has more of an attractive red color. You can see from these two about the size of RubyCrisp as compared to Supreme. RubyCrisp is not quite as big as a Supreme. With a Supreme, a large Supreme berry will be 16-17 grams. RubyCrisp is more often 14-15 grams. However, RubyCrisp tends to be more even in size than a Supreme. You can see in this cluster all the berries are very uniform, large size, and that's because it's a self-fertile, and the self-fertile berries tend to have optimum pollination, and nearly every berry will have 3 or 4 seeds in it. Whereas a female like Supreme, you'll have some berries with just 1 seed in them that might be a little bit smaller, and then other berries that get fully pollinated have 3 to 4 seeds in them and are full sized. And so while the Supreme big berries will be bigger than the big berries of a RubyCrisp, the RubyCrisp will be more average in size in terms of being large. Vine vigor of RubyCrisp is pretty good. We have generally good growth on the vines. However, we do have some problems in years 2 and 3 with RubyCrisp setting too much crop. RubyCrisp tends to produce a very large cluster size with a large number of berries in there. And what happens is when the vine is small, it's getting more berries than the vine can support. And so what we like to do is to train the vines, have them come out the first year, and if we can, get them down the wire. In the second year, we try not to let them set a crop. And we'll go in and pull the crop off them, because even if they're just down the wire a little ways, what it tends to want to do is try and set almost a full-size crop on those young vines. If you let them do that, the fruit will pull nutrition out of the vine, and it'll weaken the vine. And once that's happened, it's very difficult to bring that vine back into balance. And we found that it takes 2 to 3 years of removing a large percentage of the crop to get the vine back to health once it's lost too much nutrition to the ripening berry. So year 2, pull off all the berries. Year 3, limit the crop load. And then from that point on, you should have a vine that'll be able to be in balance and set full-size crops. If, however, you do get a vine that's looking like this, all the way down the vine, where you just have a large number of berries, and you're starting to see it pulling the nutrients out of the leaves, what you want to do is come in and start removing some of the fruiting spurs. So you can see here we have a spur here, here. You would come in and maybe remove every other one of those fruiting spurs off in the pruning season. And just try and widen it out so you're getting a hand length or so between the fruiting spurs and get it more able to produce the crop load that it can sustain. You feel like you're losing a lot of crop doing that, but honestly, you're still going to have a large number of berries on these vines because they are self-fertile and they set such a large number of berries on the clusters that remain. And so you're more likely to leave more berries than actually taking too many off. So why haven't we released this variety for commercial growers? Primary reason is picking scar, and it's just too variable on what level of clean, dry picking scar you get. Today we're looking at a nice hot sunny day. Hasn't rained for a couple days. And so you pick them, you see a little bit of tear on it, or they're dry, and it's picking pretty good, and this is the afternoon. If you come in and pick in the morning, or you pick after the rain, you can oftentimes get a large degree of tearing and sometimes berry split. and it was just so variable that we thought it wasn't safe for a commercial grower to have a large acreage of it, because they maybe lose too many to pack out because they couldn't pick them the way they wanted to. There's a unique texture. That's the second half of the name, is crisp. The reason for that name is because it has a thin, crisp skin and a relatively firm flesh. As you can see there, the skin is very thin. The flesh is firm like its parent Supreme, and the flesh adheres to the skin. You can't really squeeze it and separate the flesh from the skin. So when you eat it, instead of slipping the pulp out and then throwing away the whole like you do with a lot of muscadines, these tend to be more of an eat-it-all berry because the skin is a neutral flavor. It adheres to the flesh. You'll bite it in half, remove the seeds, and then just eat up everything else. And that makes it a very nice fruit for having inside. You don't have as much waste. I think this will be quite popular for pick your own because it is a distinctive texture to it. It's also got a very nice high bricks to it. We're usually getting a degree or two higher bricks in RubyCrisp than we do with some of the other muscadines. And so it does have a good flavor. However, if you're a connoisseur and you really like a strong muscadine aroma and flavor, RubyCrisp does not have that type of flavor. It's more of a mildly sweet muscadine. And in fact, some people that don't really care for the extra aroma in a muscadine tend to prefer RubyCrisp because it doesn't have much of that muscadine character. Other people that really like that muscadine flavor may be less impressed with the flavor of RubyCrisp. So that's RubyCrisp. I think it does have good potential for the pick your own and home garden. It's an outstandingly flavored muscadine. It's kind of a new eating experience of muscadine, and I think customers are going to really like it.